Hello and welcome to this week's YouTube video. Every 4 weeks I do a Procreate video where I try and transfer my fine art painting skills to Procreate. This week I thought I'd show you how I painted Fin, my border collie. The important thing about this painting is getting those values correct to create that ghostly feel. Let's look at the reference photo I used. This photo was taken in northern light, and because of this, the light is extremely beautiful. I will therefore focus on painting the light rather than the detail. The easiest way I can do this is to use the squinting method when looking at my photo to eliminate both the detail of the fur and the duvet. Also, it's worth remembering that northern light will always give me warm shadows, so I will be selecting colours from this side of the colour wheel for my shadows. I'm also dealing with quite a range of values in my whites and also temperature changes as well. If we look at our colour picker, all whites are not equal. Remember that colour is affected by its position on the colour wheel. Red is our warmest colour, blue is our coolest. So a red white will be our warmest white, a yellow cooler, but your blue white will be our coolest white. This is very important. Let's have a look at the brushes I have used for this painting. They were the wet acrylic, the turpentine brush, both Procreate. I also used a brush which I purchased from Tip Top Brushes. This was the Blend Stump Wax brush from the Pro Oil Painting set. You can load up your photo onto your canvas by selecting the spanner, canvas, reference, and then import your image. This then gives you an ability to use your colour picker to help you select the colour. Bear in mind though that all the brushes I am using do not lay colours true, so I will need to account for this by choosing a darker and more saturated colour. I will do this by eye, by laying the stroke and checking it against my reference photo. A good way to do this is to have both my reference photo and my artwork the same size on the screen. I will then be able to compare more easily. Looking at the layers panel, I've done this painting on 9 layers. You can see I've done the majority of it on layer 1. This is because I am using wet brushes and I need to take advantage of the wet brush effect. But as I get into the detail, it becomes harder to control the movement of the strokes, so I begin to start new layers. For your drawing, put your reference photo on your top layer. Start a new layer and draw around the main details. You will be able to use this as a drawing guide throughout the painting, and it will allow you to be more expressive with your strokes without worrying if your drawing is going awry. If you want to practice your drawing, you can do this first freehand and then use this method to check how far out you are. Let's now have a look at the video. I'm not going to attempt to paint the complexity of that duvet cover. The detail is not important. Instead, I am going to focus on its overall value and colour. I'm laying red and green next to each other as a broken colour effect because the duvet is red and green is its cooler complementary. I'm using the wet acrylic on about 80% opacity. You'll notice I also block in Fin in a green. I want him to pop against that background, so I'm using the red's colour opposite. Notice I've started in a mid-value range. This makes it easier to adjust. I start to block in my darks and then my lights. I use my turpentine brush in a large sweeping stroke to try to suggest that shadow. I begin to switch between all 3 brushes on around 80 to 90% opacity. I am varying the size too. I'm concentrating on trying to describe him and the background with bold, obvious brush strokes. I am building stroke upon stroke upon stroke, and I am responding to what I've been putting down and making decisions about what I lay based on what I have done already. This sort of painting isn't really something that you can follow stroke by stroke. It is really important to understand the different marks your brushes make, have an idea in your head of the sort of painting you want to create, and then respond intuitively to the strokes laid. I am starting very broadly and refining with detail as I go. The painting emerges really from all those strokes based on me making conscious decisions about what comes next. I am thinking about what brush to use, how large does it need to be, the direction of the stroke I want to lay. If I don't like what I've done, I either undo it or just destroy it with the wet brush. This is very easy to do as I'm working on one layer. For the precision of the eyes and largely the nose, I will switch to my wet acrylic on 80 to 100% opacity. I also take advantage of the pressure sensitivity of the pencil tool. This also helps keep my strokes more transparent. I use much smaller strokes for the eyes and really build up the detail to make them as lifelike as I can. I am looser with my nose and exaggerate the structure by lightening the value a little and darkening this edge. If I show you the reference photo again, you will see I have some very obvious structural lines in the face and body. For example, these areas here are very linear and I will get much more successful painting if I try and describe them in this way. If I show you my finished artwork, you'll see that there are areas that I have exaggerated with my linear brushwork and areas of more detail. How far you want to take them is up to you, but the important thing to understand is the contour structure of the face which you need to use to build up your brushwork. To be clear, lay your brushwork to match the contours of the face and the body. If you are unsure of these contours, look at the skeletal or muscle structure. You can Google this for help. Notice how that shadow is described in pretty much one large stroke that I made at the beginning. I have not done a lot to it and used that edge there to describe Finfin's leg. Notice how I have used the turpentine brush to suggest his fur. This brush is very good for this. In order to make it look effective, you need to start with your darkest area first and build up to your lightest area. Make sure your temperature shifts are present. There needs to be a mixture of warm greys, warm whites and cool whites. When you approach the end of the painting, you may find you need to do a tidy up of your edges. At this point, you will need to merge any layers together and then use your smudge tool to blend away a few of those hard edges. Do not overuse this tool. It should just be a few choice edges that you work on. So I have removed the strokes from this area here to create contrast. I have a more rendered area here compared to this area here. This helps direct the eye to the face area. I've also removed strokes down the bridge of his nose too. To recap then, be aware of the light in your photo. Northern light will always give you warm shadows. Make sure you get your values correct. Squint to help you. Start dark and work up to your lightest area. Make sure you use both warm and cool temperatures, even in white objects. Use the colour wheel to help you. Be aware of the limitations of the colour picker and be prepared to work from eye. Don't attempt to paint all the detail. Understand the contours of the object you are painting and place your brushwork to help describe the form. Use the smudge tool to help you destroy edges, but use it sparingly. I hope you've enjoyed today's video and found it useful. Please like and subscribe if you can, and check out my website sarahhallidayart.com, where you will find examples of my work and also details of online classes that I run. Thank you for watching and see you for the next one.